Welcome to Gamescom. We're here checking out Novus Aeterno, and I've got Nick sat next to me, and I'm just going to let him introduce himself and talk a bit more about the game.
Hey guys, I'm Nick Nevote, founder and lead game designer of Totali Studios, and here I am showing our first flagship game, a true MMORTS. A little bit of background on myself and why I made this game. I used to be a competitive RTS gamer, and not that good, but I really wanted the next level of RTS games. I really wanted a true, seamless, persistent MMORTS experience. And so just as a gamer wanting to play this, I went looking around to see if I could try and find this kind of game. And I couldn't find the game that I was really looking for. So I thought to myself that this seems like a really good project, and I think the industry would like this, and I would like this kind of game. So I decided just to set out and know that I knew absolutely nothing about game development. I was actually in the middle of studying veterinary science, so.
Your game company is rather an interesting one. We were getting told a bit about it while we were waiting around earlier. You met everyone online, and it all just kind of came together that way.
The entire studio is distributed all around the world, all the way from Argentina to Egypt to Canada to Croatia. And I started out the same way most indie developers do, I think, online, while you go and you make a post on GameDiv and you start trying to find developers anywhere you can and just try building up the basic level there. And I got a great reaction from the community, and everyone was like, we really like this game idea, we want to help you out. And so it started from there, and yeah, it went really well.
It's quite an interesting story to actually hear, and it's really awesome to be like, well, everyone's like, well, no, that doesn't work. And it was like, well, why not? Everyone uses the internet. Let's do this.
Why not? Yeah. And it works great. I've actually had now a lot of industry feedback saying, oh, distributed teams and all these problems. And yeah, sure, it's not easy, but you know, at the end of the day, you all really love this project and you want this project to work, so you make it work.
Okay, so do you want to tell us a bit of the background of the game, what's going on, and all that kind of stuff?
Pretty much. There used to be 5 empires in this galaxy, and through a long storyline of different issues that I can't actually talk about, the players will actually figure out over time while playing the game. These empires collapsed, and all that is left are these small remnants of them lying around the galaxy, and you are one of these small remnants, just kind of making your way back into space to try and retake the stars and effectively run your empire the way you really feel best. It's a very open-ended game, but we don't want to kind of give players a massive book of lore and say, this is everything that happened, now go do quests. We kind of want the player to experience this as if they were actually running this empire, slowly learning about what happened, all of them together as time progresses. So if you join into the game in 3 years, well, maybe a lot of the stuff will already be common knowledge and you'll still be figuring out new things with the rest of the players. So we can add in plot twists and interesting storylines that way.
Okay, so do you want to jump in and show us some random features?
Sure. So basically, to start out, the first thing I always like to show people is the fact that it really is a true RTS. I mean, there's just normal space here. Now, if we jump here, this is the tactical view of our planet. Now, I appear to have an enemy fleet waiting just outside of range, but we'll leave them there for a minute. We'll let them live for a little extra minutes. So if we stroll out a bit here, this is the solar system I'm in. Stroll out a little bit more, here's some other solar systems, and now here are 10,000 more solar systems. This is all one massive RTS map. No borders, no loading screens, nothing. This is one huge galaxy. Now, back to our planet. First thing that a player would do when they just started playing the game, they would start to develop their planet. Now, in this situation, I've actually been playing for a few hours on this account, so my planet's already a bit developed. Not a whole lot, but I got a bit going on there. Now, the thing is as you'll notice here, the planet's at 97% capacity. That means it's pretty much already full. I can fit about one more building on it. Now, there's never enough space on your planets. Like, this planet, the way I've designed it, is it's mostly focused on producing armaments, weapons, shields, stuff like that. And as some ship production, I have no defenses, very little ability to resupply and repair ships, and I have a little bit of mining capability. It's not a well-balanced planet at all. That's one of one of the philosophies that we went at this game, we don't want to limit the players in the way that they must pick a class or just something like that. No, we want to limit players in the sense that you have a wide variety of things you can do, but you can't do all of them. So you have to kind of build your own empire and all that around how you want to play it. Myself, I'm a much more aggressive player, so as it's seen in my planet, I have a lot more focus on the military elements, not so much on the diplomacy and the economics of the game. So up until now, fairly normal RTS game. The interfaces are very reminiscent of a normal RTS. This is where it gets a bit more interesting. This is all the facilities on my planet. Now, when we go into the shipyard, this is where I will produce my ships. Here's where it gets to be a bit creative. We didn't want to have normal unit production where you just build a Marine or a Marauder from the barracks. We want the players actually to design their own ships.
Wow.
So, first thing a player would do is he would select a ship hull. Now, let's build... I feel like building a Dreadnought. I like big ships. They look really cool. So, next thing you do is you'll select some weapons to put onto the ship. Now, also, one thing you notice here, as I'm putting weapons onto the ship, the CP cost of the ship is increasing. What CP is its command points. It's effectively a more detailed version of a population cap.
Yeah.
And now every single player in the game has the exact same CP cap, no matter what. Doesn't matter how big your empire is, anything. The reason for this is because to be a true strategy game, it needs to be balanced between the players. But to be a true MMO, you need player progression. So we decided on the CP system so that way you still have the progression, you unlock better weapons, better hulls, better engines, but they cost more CP. So you can have fewer really, really elite ships or lots more much weaker ships. And it's all up to, again, how the players want to customize their fleet and, well, their entire armadas.
Yeah.
So now let's put some engines on the ship. Can't forget that, actually. I was doing a demo earlier on, and I forgot to put engines on my ship, and they just kind of sat there outside my planet after I launched them into space, slowly orbiting. So, here we go. Here's a nice design. It's not a very versatile design, as I noticed I put all of the cannons onto the front of the ship. This means that I have a lot of firepower on my frontal firing arc, but as this is, first of all, a really big ship, second of all, it's really slow at turning, it means I can be very easily flanked.
So you're going to need something on the back then?
I can't put anything on the back, that's where my engines need to go. So I need to have a more balanced fleet. I need to have other things to make up for it. This has a lot of forward firepower, but I need some, this will be a good, like, foundation for my fleet, a good, let's see here. Next thing you do is you name your design, and then you save your design. Now, once you saved the ship's design, then you go ahead and build it just like you would any other RTS. Now, here's the ship that I just built.
That's really helpful for people who just want to spam out a few ships quite quickly.
Exactly. So, now that I've built... Yeah, that's enough. I don't need much more than that. Now, if we go into the factory, the factory is totally empty, which means I have absolutely no stock reserves of any kind of weapon, armament, shield, anything on this planet.
Yeah.
Which means for all the new ships that I just ordered, I need to actually, my factories need to actually build every single one of the engines, the weapons, the shields that I put on those designs. Now, once those are finished, only then will they move into the warehouse. And then once I have all the components required to make one of the ships in the warehouse, then the production of the ship actually starts.
Yeah.
Now, this is now one of the key elements to the economy of the game, because as you can see on my planet, I've spent a lot of my limited space on factories. I have about 40% of my planet on factories. Now imagine if I had an ally that I could work with who would be willing to focus his empire more on economy and more on production of these weapons, sell them to me, then I could be able to pump out ships really fast, and I wouldn't have to worry about wasting that space for factories to build the components. Yeah. So again, this plays into the whole thing that players can do a little bit of everything, or can focus more on one thing, and the areas that are not focused, they could try and make up for it with other players' focuses and how other players want to play the game. Now, next thing is, once the ship is finished being produced, it goes into the spaceport. Once the ship is in the spaceport, you can launch it into space, but more importantly, you can change its crew. So what happens, when you build a new ship, it comes with veteran crew. Just rookie crew.
Yeah.
Now, this is kind of a mixture of command and conquer style of unit veterancies, where at the same time you're seeing more RPG elements to it. So your rookie crew, as the ship goes seeing more combat experience, they will gain skill points that they can put into different attributes. For example, you have a rookie officer which you can upgrade into a weapons officer and then specialize him into a weapons officer really good at long-range cannons.
Okay,
and these give nice little passive buffs to all of your units.
That's a crazy amount of depth.
Yes, it is. Now, the next kind of cool feature that I really enjoyed, it connects you to your fleets a lot more, is that you can move your ships and promote them between you can move your crews and promote them between different ships.
Yeah.
So you start out with a rookie officer on this Corvette, and he slowly gets promoted up until now he is the most amazing weapons officer you have on your biggest dreadnought that is now just freaking amazing, and like you've had him in your fleet now for weeks.
Yeah.
And he's like this great war hero of your empire now. So now, right now, as I made this account recently, I don't actually have any veteran crew to stick on my ships yet. So I'm just going to launch them straight into space, and I'll launch the rest automatically.
Okay.
I'm going to just send these to the spaceport. These are ships that I built. Okay, now, these ships have now spawned directly above my planet. So let me just get them a bit into a nicer formation. Now, this is one of the first things. Because ships in this game move slowly and there's much more of a tactical element to the game,
yeah,
we needed to add in something to allow players to keep track of their massive formations and everything. That's why we added in the ship holograms. Now this is telling you where your ships will be when they finish whatever orders you've given them.
Right.
Okay, so now we seem to have a pretty decent sized fleet right there at the border of our planet. So we have the backbone of what our fleet's going to be right now, which is quite a few powerful dreadnoughts. We need to get some smaller ships out now. We need to get some, good units to flank. One of the other elements of ships is they all have directional armor. So if a ship gets shot in the front or the sides or the rear, it'll depend how much damage they take. And as I explained before, they all have firearms. So if you can manage to flank an enemy fleet or even better get behind them, it is an incredibly successful tactic.
That is insane.
Yes. So now, as you can see, I gave the order about like a minute ago. The ships still haven't even finished rotating around to face the right direction.
Yeah.
So clearly these are not good ships to use to try and flank the enemy with.
They are very, very slow.
Yes, they are. They are freaking massive and very, very good to hold the line, but they cannot, and punch through lines, but they cannot flank around. So I need some smaller ships. So I'm
guessing you're going to have some pre-built that you're going to be able to
I have a couple pre-built. I could actually build another one right now if you like.
I don't think we have time.
Okay, so I'll build a couple smaller ones right here, some ones that I already have designed. Now, as I'm getting these set up now, I'm going to start moving them a little bit more forwards. Now, there's another feature which I'm going to explain to you. As my enemy cannot hear us right now, and he is at the other end of the Gamescom hall, probably in the public area playing, he has his formations pretty close together. Now, there's one thing I'm going to try and play on, and in each one of these formations, he has some really small ships. Now, when a ship explodes, it actually releases a shockwave as all of its engines just go supernova.
Right.
Now, that actually knocks back the ships that are around him and damages them. So what I'm going to try and do is actually try and hit some of these smaller ships, take them out.
You're hoping for a chain reaction.
I don't know if I'll be able to pull that off, because these larger ships, an explosion of one of these smaller ones won't damage the larger one very much at all.
But
it shields alone.
It should take out some of the other smaller ones if you're lucky. Okay.
Also, it'll help knock the larger ones out of position a bit. And as you saw how long it takes for them to get into position, I can definitely get some value from that. So now, my first main fleet has already started taking out his little screens that he has here. Let's see, what do I have? Okay, I have my next...
They're not that bad once they're facing the right direction, but your ships, they're not that bad once they're facing the right way.
Once they're facing the enemy, they're really good actually. Problem is getting them to face the enemy does take a little bit of time, and getting flanked, especially when you have Dreadnought class ships, is very dangerous. I remember once I was actually playing and all I had left was one Dreadnought, the enemy only had one Corvette, the smallest ship in the game, and he beat me. He just ran around behind me and I couldn't get him. I tried to turn around to be able to face him, but he just kept on moving around behind me.
So are there any other cool features you want to talk about or show us before we have to wrap this up?
I would say that the next major feature that, I mean, as it is an MMO, there's always a hell of a lot of features, but one thing that we really did, we wanted to evolve a bit in the game, was the way the minimap works. Minimaps in RTS games have been the same for a long time, and we want to try and get a bit creative with that. We wanted to make them a bit more unique. So what we did, first of all, we separated the minimap from the fog of war system.
Yeah.
All these little white dots you see in space, that means we can see what's going on here. Now, if we go outside here, where there is no white dots, that means that this is within our fog of war.
Being yelled at, hang on.
So, these are...
So outside of the stars, you wouldn't be able to see anything?
No.
Okay.
So now, the second major thing is that depending on... Things can be within your fog of war line of sight of your ships in 3D space, but they may not show up on your radar if you don't have things actually scanning them.
Yeah.
Right now, I see these because I have a scanner on my planet that sees them.
If you didn't, you would.
If you didn't, I wouldn't see them
Okay.
here on the minimap. Also, you can put scanners on ships and stuff, but that costs more CP, which means you're sacrificing other ends of weapons or more ships to be able to have those scanning capabilities.
Okay. Well, do you want to give people the website to go to find out more information?
Yeah, you can head over to novusaeterno.com, NOVUSAETERNO.
Wonderful.
And check us out.
Excellent. Well, thank you very much for your time.
It was a pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you.